Welcome to Muscles and Magic the Gathering, and we need to talk about Sephiroth Fabled Soldier. I gotta tell you, this card is absolutely insane, and it might just be the best commander option we've seen in the last decade. I can't tell you how excited I am to build a deck around this guy right here. But with all that said, we need to talk about cards that are going to go in this deck. So this episode of Muscles and Magic the Gathering, I am going to reveal 12 cards that are going to be auto includes in any Sephiroth deck you're going to build. Now, I am Bobby Maximus, the world's most powerful nerd. I am the Muscles, and these cards, these are Magic the Gathering. Let's talk about Sephiroth Fabled Soldier from the upcoming Universes Beyond Final Fantasy set. It's got a casting cost of 3 mana, 2 colorless, 1 black, so it's going to be a mono black deck. Whenever Sephiroth enters or attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, draw a card. Whenever another creature dies, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. If this is the 4th time this ability has resolved this turn, transform Sephiroth. And who does Sephiroth transform into? Sephiroth, the one-winged angel. It's got flying and then supernova. As this creature transforms into Sephiroth, one-winged angel, you get an emblem with whenever a creature dies, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. And whenever Sephiroth attacks, you may sacrifice any number of creatures. If you do, draw that many cards. So one of the key things you're going to want to build, with in this deck is you're going to need some sacrifice outlets and you're going to need things to sacrifice. So with that in mind, let's go over 12 cards that are going to be auto includes in this deck. And the first one is a big one. This would be the very first card I would include in any Sephiroth deck. A Cursed Marauder. When a Cursed Marauder enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a non-token creature. If you're in a 4-person game of Commander, this will cause Sephiroth to trigger immediately. So get yourself an Accursed Marauder. This card goes really, really, really hard in this deck. But if you can also have some cards in this deck to bring Accursed Marauder back from your graveyard and back from your graveyard, you can trigger Sephiroth multiple times, and that's going to allow you to get a bunch of those emblems that are like a blood artist, right? Whenever a creature dies, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So get an Accursed Marauder in your deck right now. Next card up, it's an enchantment. It's called Grave Pact. Whenever a creature you control dies, each other player sacrifices a creature. So if you can sacrifice one of your own creatures, that means your creature dies, then each other player has to sack a creature as well, and that's going to immediately trigger Sephiroth. There is no limit to the amount of these emblems you can have on the battlefield. So if you can find a way to trigger Sephiroth, remove them, trigger Sephiroth, remove them, and get a ton of these emblems, you will be able to absolutely crush the board. And I'm talking about you removing Sephiroth. I feel like Sephiroth is going to be one of those kill on sight commanders. So Grave Pact, put that in your deck right now so you can trigger him multiple times. Your number 1 sack outlet, Ashnod's Altar. Actually, that's a lie. It is number 2. Number 1 is going to be Phyrexian Altar, but these cards are very, very similar. Phyrexian Altar, you're going to sacrifice a creature. You can add 1 mana of any color. That's honestly why I prioritize this, because I can get the black mana out of it, right? It's going to make it easier for me to cast stuff. This card, though, goes for about $60. The budget version of it is Ashnod's Altar. Not quite as good, but a very similar effect. Sacrifice a creature and add 2 colorless mana. This card goes for about $10. Truth be told, I'm going to have both of these. Whenever I build a commander deck, I want multiple cards that do the same thing. These are the 2 best sack outlets that you're going to have in this deck. Well, 2 of them anyway, so make sure you include these cards. So there are 4 cards you're going to include. Card number 5, Black Market Connections. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, choose 1 or more. Sell contraband, create a treasure token, you lose 1 life. Buy information, draw a card, you lose 2 life. Or hire a mercenary, create a 3/2 colorless shapeshifter creature token with a changeling, you lose 3 life. Now there's a lot of life there, but I am not worried, or a lot of life lost there, but I am not worried, because remember the wording on Sephiroth. Whenever another creature dies, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So I'm going to be gaining a lot of life in this deck. And this card is super versatile. I can create a treasure token, which is going to help me cast stuff. I can draw a card, and you know me, I always say this, the 3 most important parts of a good commander deck are card draw, mana ramp, and tutoring. So this card alone is going to take care of the mana ramp and the card draw. And then you can create a mercenary, which is going to create some creature that you can sacrifice using 1 of your sack outlets. So get yourself a Black Market Connection. Speaking of making creatures that you can sacrifice, the Bitter Blossom. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life and put a 1/1 Black Fairy Rogue creature token with flying onto the battlefield. Again, yes, you're losing a life, but with Sephiroth, you're going to gain all kinds of life. So I would definitely get myself a Bitter Blossom so I could sacrifice these creatures. And I would get these now, because as people start building this deck, I think a lot of these cards are going to go up in value. You saw that with Tarkir Dragonstorm. All of a sudden, there was a bunch of dragons that were going for more and more and more money. So the second you watch this video, I would go order every card on this list so you are covered for Sephiroth. Diabolic Intent. I absolutely love this card. And in this deck, this works as well as a Demonic Tutor or a Vampiric Tutor or an Imperial Seal. The big 3, the Holy Trinity of tutors, if you will. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. Search your library for a card and then put that card into your hand, then shuffle your library. In fact, this card is going to work better than a Vampiric Tutor and better than an Imperial Seal in this deck, because you get to sacrifice a creature, another sack outlet. Go get yourself a Diabolic Intent right now. We're going to be sacrificing a lot of things. And when you are sacrificing any type of token, you're going to need a Mirkwood Bats. Whenever you create or sacrifice a token, each opponent loses 1 life. The key is that each opponent loses a life. But do you realize how hard this card goes when you're sacrificing tokens? And look how this pairs up with the Bitter Blossom. You're creating a Black Fairy Rogue creature token. You're sacrificing it, so they're going to lose a life when you create it. They're going to lose a life when you sacrifice it. Mirkwood Bats, maybe in a deck where you're going to sacrifice tokens or create tokens, the greatest common ever created in Magic the Gathering history. I absolutely love that card. Next one up, the Worn Soul Trader. Pay 1 life. Sacrifice another creature, create a treasure token. It addresses that mana ramp type thing. I love mana ramp in a commander deck so I can cast all kinds of stuff. And it allows me another sack outlet. Again, don't be scared of paying the 1 life. I promise you, you'll be gaining so much life in this deck. You don't need to worry about it. Tevish Stat, Doom of Fools. All right. This card, I use this in my Corval deck, and I want to use it in my Sephiroth deck. Why? The +1 ability, create 2 0/1 Black Thrall creature tokens. Those will give you stuff to sacrifice. That's a +2 ability. The +1 ability, you may sacrifice another creature or planeswalker. So again, this is a sack outlet. If you do, draw 2 cards and then draw another card. If the sacrifice permanent was a commander remember I was talking about being able to sacrifice your commander to trigger him, or sacrifice a creature so you could trigger this multiple times? Well, Tevish Stat will help you do that, and it will help with an immense amount of card draw. And the final ability, which is crushing in a game of Commander, gain control of all commanders, put all commanders from the command zone onto the battlefield under your control. So this card, you might not have thought of this one yet. This has to absolutely go in Sephiroth. This could make the entire deck, let me tell you that. All right, speaking of more cards that will make the deck, 11 and 12. Super underrated card. It's disgustingly cheap, but works really, really well. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice an artifact or creature. You're going to need to be sacrificing creatures so that you can trigger Sephiroth. And then you get to draw 2 cards and create a treasure token. Again, card draw, mana ramp, goes hard. And one of the things I love about this card, and people don't use this enough, if someone wants to remove one of your creatures, it's going to die anyway. You can cast this at instant speed, sack your creature, get the card draw, get the treasure token. Wonderful little card right here. Get this in your deck. And the final one, it is another common. And that's funny. Like, people look at rares, they look at mythic rares, they look at expensive cards. But sometimes the common cards are the best cards to put in your deck. The Viscera Seer, it's from Commander Legends. Sacrifice a creature, scry 1. That means you're going to look at the top card of your library. You may put that card on the bottom of your library. So it allows you some type of card manipulation. It's a sack outlet. It doesn't tap, so you can sacrifice as many creatures as you want and scry as many cards as you want, as long as you have the creatures to sacrifice. Another auto include in your Sephiroth deck. So let's recap those. These 12 cards. We have the Viscera Seer. We have Deadly Dispute. We have Tevish Stat. We have the Warren Soul Trader, the Mirkwood Bats, the Diabolic Intent, Black Market Connections, the Phyrexian Altar, Ashnod's Altar, a Grave Pact, a Cursed Marauder, and the Bitter Blossom. And those are the cards that you are going to include in your Sephiroth Fabled Soldier deck. Now, there's a lot of other cards you can include. I wanted to put my top 12, but I also wanted to open up the conversation. There's going to be so many of us that are going to be building this deck. I'm actually going to go order a bunch of cards tonight. I got to look through what I have and figure out what I need to order, but I am going to start building this deck immediately, as are a lot of us. This set is dropping really, really soon. So if you have any recommendations of great cards like the Bitter Blossom, great cards like the Accursed Marauder that you would include in this deck, please put them in the comments below. I will be checking these comments every 10 minutes looking for cards to order, and I'm sure everybody else who follows will be doing the same. So leave your comment below. And once again, thank you for coming to an episode of Muscles and Magic the Gathering, and honestly, just sharing a huge passion of mine with me. I live a go, go, go life. I'm busy all the time. There's a lot of stress, and this is the one of the things, the primary thing that just brings me absolute joy. I'm excited to share this with you, and I am so excited for this Final Fantasy set. I could absolutely scream. Let's go Final Fantasy, and I'll see you for the next episode of Muscles and Magic the Gathering.